Hello there. I'm John Beethan, the co-host and producer for the AlternativeHealthTools.com podcast. And today, for the September 30th celebration of International Podcast Day, we're releasing an episode that has been in the can since the end of March, where I met Dr. Ginger at a MOVE, that's M-U-V, Physical Therapy and Pilates in Carlsbad, California, educational events. And listening to Dr. Ginger that evening, my body resonated truth about what she was saying. We chatted after the event, and she let me know she'd be at a home party the next evening speaking in a little bit more detail and introducing people to ARIIX, a company producing healthcare products she really cared about. And she invited me to join. She also agreed to let me hang a recorder on her to record the event, which was awesome. Dr. Ginger was featured on the Dr. Oz show for her Rainbow Juice Cleanse, which information about that can be found in the show notes for this episode 56. Dr. Ginger is an excellent champion for the truth and health information, unbrainwashing, re-educating, giving people back the power of great health. I consider this to be one of the more important episodes we've ever done, and my apologies for somewhat a rough recording, but I think you'll find the content makes up for it. I encourage you to visit the show notes here at AlternativeHealthTools.com so you can pick up on all the resources Dr. Ginger mentions in the episode. So come by AlternativeHealthTools.com and leave us some feedback and subscribe to the podcast any way you want so you never miss an episode.
Colleague, Dr. Ginger, who has come in here all the way from Michigan to come be with us. And so I'll tell you about Ginger. I met her about a year ago for the first time, and this lady, like the moment we first talked, it was like, just like with me and Deanna, it was the same thing. We just met like-minded, very passionate about healing and health, and she'll share a little bit of her story. And Dr. Ginger is just somebody who really embodies what she believes and what she's out there teaching. She travels the country teaching. She teaches webinars. She's up on stage, sharing her wealth of knowledge. She has worked and taught at the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida, which is world renowned for health. And she'll tell you again a little bit more about that. I don't want to. She'll do it much better justice than I will. And she's also an author of a book called The Rainbow Juice Cleanse, and because of the popularity of that book, she was also appeared on the Dr. Oz show last summer. So she is the real deal, and she is just so committed to helping share and spread the word of health. And again, we're so grateful that you're here. So I can't wait to learn from you again, as I always do, and appreciate it so much.
Thank you. And thank you all. Thank you all for coming. I'm sure you were like, what am I getting myself into here? Well, I guarantee you today, you're either going to learn something new. You might even end up knowing more than your doctor. Or if you've heard this stuff before, it might just be the push that you need to start taking some action. Because we all need that little motivation, inspiration, right? So just to give you a little bit of background on me, when I was young, my dad was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. He went to his doctor one day, and he was getting his yearly checkup, and he had had a heart attack 10 years prior when he was 38 years old. So at the age of 48, he went in, they did a chest x-ray, which is what they do once you've had a heart, or at least, I don't even know if they do that now. I hope they don't, because it's just going to create cancer. But what they did back then, this was over 20 years ago, when you have a heart attack, from then on out, every year you get a chest x-ray, because you got to check out the heart. And so we know now that that kind of radiation can actually cause cancer. So 10 years later, he had his chest x-ray, his yearly deal, and they found a tumor the size of a softball in his lungs. And they told him, you're terminal, there's nothing we can do, get your affairs in order. And literally that day, they killed him that day, because that day he came home crying. He was, he was a type A kind of guy, and he went to his doctor, he came home a completely different person. Cried all the time, had 3 kids, a wife, was 48 years old, and was getting his affairs in order because the man in the white coat said, you have the C word and there's just nothing we can do. And I always say this because I think it's so important. I think it should be a crime for healthcare practitioners to tell someone that, because someone with that kind of power literally can mentally kill someone in that instant. So he literally within just a couple of weeks started deteriorating so rapidly that within a couple of weeks he didn't even know who we were. And he was given 6 to 9 months to live, but as far as I'm concerned, a couple weeks later when he didn't even know who we were, he was kind of dead, because he just didn't, it just went rampant in his body, spread to his bones, his brain, everywhere. And he passed away, and so when I kind of got older and was trying to make a decision as to what I wanted to do with my career, I knew I wanted to do something in the health field. And I was fascinated because I knew that it was the cancer that took him, or it wasn't the cancer that took him, it was his mindset that took him down that path so fast, not so much the cancer. And so I was kind of fascinated with that. But when I was making my career choice, I decided I didn't want to do the traditional path, because I wasn't too thrilled with the bedside manner of the physician that handled my dad, nor the whole kind of concept of getting x-rayed every year, and just all of that just didn't work for me. So I looked into all the different options, and I chose chiropractic. So I'm a chiropractor, and I'm proud to be a chiropractor. I like that it's holistic oriented. It looks at the entire body. There's a lot of nutrition. I had what I thought at the time was the most radical nutrition professor when I went through school. Now I'm probably way more radical than he is, but he really kind of got me on the path and really kind of sparked my passion for the nutrition side of things. When I got out of school, I went to school in New York, and when I got out of school, I hightailed it to warm weather. So I lived in Florida for about a decade and worked with a sports rehab facility, chiropractic office, and worked with a cardiologist doing stress tests and EKGs. I also worked, like him or not, I worked for Donald Trump. He has a private club down there called the Mar-a-Lago Club, and he had a spa down there, and I was director of the spa. I brought in an acupuncturist. It was kind of like a foofy kind of spa, and I brought in an acupuncturist and made it a little more holistic oriented. And I'll tell you a funny story. It was actually called the Mar-a-Lago Spa. And so when he hired me to run it, he wanted me to get all this publicity for it, of course, because that's what he likes. And I said, when I call around to different places, different spa magazines, they don't know what the Mar-a-Lago Spa is. I'm like, you need to change the name. You need to call it the Trump Spa at Mar-a-Lago. And so he went to New York. He's like, I'll talk to everyone up in New York and tell you what I think when I come back. So next week he came back and let me go for a walk. So we went for a walk, and he said, I kind of polled everybody up there, and they think you're right. I'm like, Donald, you have your name on everything. Why would you not put it on your spa to attract people? So anyway, that's just a little aside, but just kind of a fun little story. So I worked for Donald for a couple years, and then I also had the opportunity to experience the Hippocrates Health Institute, which is in West Palm Beach, Florida. It's world-renowned for a healing center for helping people basically balance their bodies. They don't cure anything, but our bodies do that. Balancing their bodies, kind of unbrainwashing, reteaching about food and healing and everything that's involved. So I taught there for about 6 years, really got to know their program really well. Saw everything from easy things from diabetes and high blood pressure resolved to crazy cancers, terminal inoperable brain tumors, all of the above resolved. Because again, if you give your body the right tools, it knows what to do. So what I want to do before we even talk about products, I want to kind of give you some basic things that you'll be able to take home and start to apply to yourself or someone that you love, and understand how easy weight loss and healing really is if you just understand these basic concepts, and then of course take action on them and start to apply them. So there's 3 major categories that they utilize at not only Hippocrates Health Institute but many other healing centers. The first one is the mind-body connection. And in that story about my dad, when I told you when he was diagnosed with cancer and told that's it, there's nothing we can do, he had no hope, no faith, no encouragement, no nothing. And we all know of people who have beaten the odds, right? And what's the thing you probably remember about them the most? They're a fighter. Like, I'm going to beat this thing. They were pumped up. They were inspired. They were not going to let it get them. My dad didn't have that opportunity. But fast forward, 20-some years later, I learned at Hippocrates Health Institute how important that mindset is when it comes to anything, but certainly when it comes to healing. Especially when you're told something devastating like, they think that it's terminal and that's it. And so everyone that comes to Hippocrates and many other healing centers, but I just happen to know this one really well, works with a psychologist or a psychotherapist on their belief system about their disease, as well as things that you might not think affect or even cause a disease, like your lack of forgiveness, your anger at another person, a spouse, whatever it might be. You hold on to these grudges. Well, you're only harming yourself. And so they teach you how to release that and to work your way through that. Or maybe it's even your anger about your diagnosis. You're so angry about it. And so they have actually a class where you can write a letter to whoever it is that you're angry about to release that. And so I had a friend that just went through the program who had esophageal cancer, and he wrote this just really firm, kind of nasty letter to his cancer, telling him, this is the last time you're ever going to hear from me. I'm done with you. And so psychologically, we don't think that that can actually help our body, but it so much can, because our thoughts are kind of like radio waves, and they go out and talk to your body's cells. So you carry, we were talking about frequencies earlier, you carry that frequency, which is your thought pattern, throughout your entire body. And if it's a negative frequency, and I don't care if it's a I'm going to die, or if it's a I'm so fat, or I'm so awful, or I'm not good enough, those thoughts are within your body, and they affect your health. So the first and more important than all the green juice in the world is to get that mindset turned around so that you're thinking positively, you're inspired, you get it, you realize that the power is really within you to turn these things around. So the mindset is probably the most important thing. Then it comes super nutrition. This is the part that I love the most, the food side of things. So in order to heal, you have to have a strong immune system, right? But you can't have a strong immune system eating the standard American diet. You've got to load your body with God's foods, nature's foods, however you want to look at it, but real foods that are untouched by man. Because once man starts messing with the food, guess what? That's when we get messed up, right? Because, an eggplant might be great, but when you start frying it or processing it in any way, shape, or form, or any kind of produce, it totally ruins it. And we'll talk about that in a minute, a little deeper. So basically, boosting your immune system by eating real food and super nutrition. So mind, body, super nutrition, and then detoxification, detoxifying your body of all the things you've done to it, whether you've had chemo, radiation, or whether recreational drugs, or whether it's, I was telling the story last night, I deal with a lot of women who are hairdressers, or who had cancers in the past because they dealt with all those chemicals all the time on their hands, and obviously on their head as well. And so all the maybe environmental working chemicals that you might work with, or things you might not even be aware of. Flint, Michigan, and the whole water, like they were drinking this water, they had no idea until it came out. And granted, I think that's kind of going on all over the country, really, if we really test our water. But there's a lot of things that we're not realizing that are toxifying our body. And so if you can kind of create this awareness on the things that you know are toxic and you can stop doing, then you've lessened your toxic load. So we have a mind, body, super nutrition, detoxification. Those are kind of the three pillars that they work on there. And within that are two other things. So there's really only 5 things you need to remember. Mind, body, super nutrition, and detox. And then the 2 other things are lessening your toxic load through the easiest way is the food that you eat and the things that you drink, as well as the things that you slather on your body, because all of those are things that you can control and you can make the proper choices. And then there's some other things that you can do to detoxify or lessen your toxic load. And then the other thing is to get your body alkaline. Are you familiar with acid versus alkaline? It's kind of become more of a hot topic these days than like years ago when I was talking about this. People just thought I was weird, and I'm called weird a lot. And you probably will be too as soon as you kind of get into this. Although you guys live in California, so everyone's weird here, right? Yeah. So okay, never forget that. So getting alkaline. So let's talk about that. So the pH scale is something we learned in high school chemistry, and if you skip that class, it's okay, because I'm going to reteach it to you, but I'm going to teach it to you in a way that applies to your body. So the pH scale is the potential of hydrogen. You don't need to remember that, but the scale runs from 0 to 14, with 7 being neutral. The low numbers are acidic, the high numbers are alkaline. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, when you're getting your pool ready for summertime, or actually here it's probably any time, you want to, the pool guy usually comes and tests the pool, right, the pool water. And if it's not the proper pH, what can happen? Algae, right. A bunch of algae. It can turn green. A bunch of algae can grow in it. The sides can start to corrode. If you have any metal, like from a ladder or something, that can start to corrode. Lots of things can grow in a pool where the pool is not the proper pH, right? But once you get the pool back to the right pH, things don't grow and you can go in it, right? So if the pool is green, full of algae, and you take a cap full of chlorine and put it in there, will it do anything? Nothing, right? What do they have to do to fix that algae kind of crazy pool? What do they call it? They shock it. Okay, they shock the pool back to the proper alkalinity. They put a bunch of chemicals in it, chlorine in probably most cases, hopefully salt water. Perfect, okay. I figured that. But I got to use that example because that's just a good example to use. So, okay, so that's the pool situation. Let's talk about our bodies. Our bodies need to be a certain pH as well. So we talked about that scale, acid versus alkaline. The neutral being 7. Our bodies like to be just slightly over that alkaline mark. And it does everything to stay in that position. So if we're acidic and we eat like, the standard American diet, which is very acidic to the body, and we'll go over the foods in a second with that, but if we do that and we just eat one salad and we think, oh, I'm good, I ate something alkaline, one salad, that's like throwing a cap full of chlorine in the algae pool. It's not going to do anything. So at these healing centers with people with all of these health challenges, the first thing they do, aside from the mind-body stuff, is they work on the diet. They get rid of the standard American diet, and they shock the body back to alkalinity with alkaline foods. What are the alkaline foods? God's foods, nature's foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, sprouts, and juices in their least processed form. And some of the nuts kind of fit just slightly acidic, but slightly, so the nuts fit into that realm as well. They're not 100% alkaline, but for the most part, they're in that kind of realm. And if you eat nuts, but you eat everything else, you'll be perfectly fine. And so the way that I like to kind of describe how to keep yourself there is a checkbook. Pretend like you're each day writing out your food in a checkbook. And what is the balance at the end of the day? Is it alkaline or is it acidic? Because if it's acidic, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, that's when you set yourself up. Your pool is the perfect environment for things to grow. Like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, gout, like all of those diseases, autoimmune, all of that stuff loves an acidic body. Whereas if you keep, at the end of the day, at the end of the decades, if you keep your body alkaline, cancer can't grow in an alkaline body. You know, if you're alkaline, if you're eating those kinds of foods, you've boosted your immune system. Chances are your toxic load is pretty low. You've supercharged. You've done the super nutrition, and just by eating that way, you're detoxifying on a healthy, regular basis. And you probably feel good, so your mindset's probably pretty good. So you're not going to set yourself up for disease. It really is that simple if we follow some of those basic concepts. Now, if someone has developed some of these health challenges and they're in the acidic realm, just know you can shock your body and get back in that positive realm. And that's what they do at these healing centers. So I like to kind of give that kind of 35,000-foot view just to get people to understand that health and healing is not that complicated. We just haven't been taught in this manner. And it's actually quite simple. But the world of medicine, pharmaceuticals, cancer treatments, all of that want to make you think that it's really, really complicated, and it really isn't. If you've developed a serious health challenge, does it take some time to kind of get that resolved? Yes, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of personal work. It's just a matter of whether you're a willing participant and want to do it. I encounter plenty of people. I did a lot in corporate wellness. I worked for Bruton Smith, who owns a lot of the NASCAR tracks and car dealerships all over the country, and I actually used to travel around the country. I actually spent a lot of time in California, Northern California, at the car dealerships and across the country, but I kind of liked coming this way. So because the people that I talk to, even at the car dealerships in California, have at least heard some of this stuff before, and they just needed that little boot to start doing stuff. Down in North Carolina and Virginia, they've never heard this stuff before, and so initially when I started going into these lunch and learns that were required by the car dealership, I was mostly a male audience. They'd come in all pissed off that they had to spend their lunch hour with me, some girl who's going to tell them to eat their fruits and vegetables, right? So they'd walk in with their arms folded, like total attitude, and I swear they did this on purpose. They would bring their supersized meals and sip on their sodas and eat their French fries while I'm talking. So the first couple of times I kind of did my spiel, I kind of got that I wasn't really getting to them. And so I decided, you know what, I need to revamp this in a way that I'm going to talk to them where it matters for them. So I walked in my next time because I'm like, I gotta keep this job. I can't be a failure with this because I was in charge of lowering healthcare costs because they were self-insured. So I walked in one day and I introduced myself. I said, I am here today to talk about something you probably don't talk about very often, but it's a really important topic, and it's a connection you all are not making. Today we're going to talk about erectile dysfunction. And I got laughs. I got wide eyes. I've dissected an entire body. I have no problem talking about any body part because we have to understand how everything works. So it's really this simple. A heart attack is a clogged vessel in your heart, right? A stroke is a clogged vessel in your brain, and we know where the clogged vessel is in erectile dysfunction, right? Well, if you have heart disease, I guarantee you have erectile dysfunction. If you had a stroke, you know what? That's going to be part of the process because it's a matter of clean blood. If you're blood flow, but if you have clean blood, it will flow everywhere. Our society has been so brainwashed into thinking that we have to take Viagra when we get in our 60s and 70s or even 50s. But that's not really how we're supposed to operate. It's all supposed to work until we're like over 100. But we've been conditioned to think otherwise. And so that really, for those who were interested in kind of turning things around, that really got a lot of people's attention. There were plenty of people who could care less and were still going to eat their French fries in front of me, and they didn't want to hear about it. But I think just that simple concept of like, really? It's really? Oh, I've been programmed to think that that's just what happens. So it's these little things that we think are the case that aren't. Genetics. Genetics is another field of epigenetics that's become really popular these days in terms of your lifestyle and how it affects your genes. Did you know your thoughts can actually affect your genetics in terms of the path that you might be taking, your thoughts? It's a hard concept to grasp because it just seems so out there. So let's talk about your lifestyle, the food that you eat. Does that make sense that could affect something? So if something runs in your family, could you be the one that turns around that condition because you're the one that changed your lifestyle, whereas for generations it was kind of the same, family, this is just what we do at the holidays. This is how we eat on Saturday nights. This is just what we do. And so these generations of lifestyles have just kind of been passed down, and on top of the fact that we're such a toxic society compared to even 50 years ago, we've just created this monster in us that, again, creates the acidic body, creates a toxic body, and creates disease. So I like to think of your bad genes, and I have plenty of them in my family, as light switches, and they're all in the off position when you're born. And the way that they get triggered or expressed is mainly by your lifestyle. And stress can be a part of it too, but I fit that under lifestyle. So you could go throughout your life and not have any of these light switches switched on because you're living a healthy lifestyle. Or you could be 30, 40, 50 and those light switches start to switch on. But what they do at Hippocrates Health Institute is they flip those light switches off by changing the lifestyle. So in terms of acid alkaline too, I want to point out, this is something I didn't mention last night when we were talking about it. When your body is acidic, it's like your body's on fire. Okay, this is just a simple way to look at it. And your body will do everything it can to get back over to that alkaline space because that's where your body thrives. But when you're on fire, so to speak, because you're constantly eating, garbage food and drinking bad things and just your whole lifestyle is acidic, your body says, okay, I've got to put this fire out. The only way to put the fire out is with alkaline minerals. But they're not eating any healthy produce or any of that good food, and that's where the alkaline minerals are from. And so it searches your blood looking for it, and the slice of tomato and the piece of lettuce on the supersized hamburger is not enough. It's not enough to get you alkaline, right? That's just like a cap full of chlorine being thrown in the pool. So it searches the blood for alkaline minerals. If it doesn't find it, where's the best place to find alkaline minerals? Your bones and your teeth. Your body starts tearing down your bones and tearing down your teeth to put that acid fire out. We drink the most milk of any country in the world, and we have the most osteoporosis of anyone in the world, any country in the world. And so there's a direct correlation between even cow's milk and osteoporosis. But cow's milk is very acidic. And so that fire that's burning in our body when we're very acidic can be put out by getting alkaline. But if we're not doing that and we're eating these foods, it's just this constant fire and tearing down of our bones and tearing down of our teeth. So I'm not a fan of cow's milk, as you can probably tell. I did grow up eating the standard American diet, so I get all of that, but I've kind of seen the light, and so I've transitioned. So I teach worst, better, best. The worst is red label cow's milk that's non-organic, injected with bovine growth hormone, just regular straight up cow's milk. A better option, but still in the worst category to me, would be an organic milk, because you've lessened your toxic load a little bit because you've gone organic a little bit, but the bovine growth hormone is still in there, and that's an issue, along with all sorts of other things in milk that we won't mention. The better source of milk would be a nut or a seed milk, and you can buy those in the store. I'm not a huge fan of those because they're pasteurized, and anytime you start pasteurizing anything, orange juice, almond milk, whatever, it kills off the nutrients, in particular, well, the enzymes 100%, but also the water-soluble nutrients. So like, a container of Tropicana orange juice doesn't have any vitamin C because vitamin C is a water-soluble nutrient. It's very sensitive to heat, and that high heat pasteurization kills it off. So when it comes to the nut and seed milks that you can buy in the store in a container, they're better, but I'll tell you what best is, and it literally takes 30 seconds to make. So you have a blender, put some filtered water in there, get a handful of any nut or seed. You can do macadamia nuts, almond nuts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and they all have a different nutrient profile, and they all taste different. So every couple of days you can make a new one. You just put it in the blender, you blend it up, you can strain the pulp off if you want, but I like the pulp because it's a good cholesterol magnet, it's good fiber. Fiber is a good cholesterol magnet. You can add some organic vanilla. You can add some leafy greens. You can add strawberries. You can add anything that you want and kind of make. But you know exactly what's in it. So you've lessened your toxic load because some of the almond milk companies, one of them just got a class action lawsuit not very long ago, and they were sued because it was discovered there were in that entire container there were 5 almonds in the whole thing. The rest was a bunch of chemical fillers. So that's why I like to make it myself. And it literally, and okay, so if you think that process of making it yourself is too much, how about if you have almond butter? Okay, if you have almond butter and you have a blender and you have water, 2 tablespoons of almond butter, slap it in the blender, put some water in there, blend it up. There's your fast food almond milk. It's because there's kind of no excuse after I've just told you this, right? You didn't know what you don't know, but now you know it. So let's at least not go back. Let's move forward. So that's, if you kind of think about your food in that manner, you can move from more toxic to less toxic and no toxic and acidic to alkaline. Okay, so all of that being said, you can kind of tell I'm a little picky about ingredients and food and all of that, right? So when I was introduced to this company, RX, I was told, I think you'll find these products Dr. Ginger approved. And I've heard that before, and I was just like Erica, over and over again, different companies wanting me to work with them. And, I liked this from them, but I liked this from another company. I never saw an entire line that I really could put my name behind and stand behind. And so when I first took a look at this company, the first product I looked at was the one you were talking about, Restorex. Now, coming from Hippocrates Health Institute and their whole detox component that they use, food and exercise, sweating basically, being kind of stage one of detox, and then you can take it different levels with infrared saunas and colonics and various other ways to detoxify the body. So when I saw this one product called Restorex, basically it's a detox powder that restores you, and it has spirulina, it has chlorella, it has zeolite, it has activated charcoal, it has chia seeds, it has ginger, all of these known detoxifiers from the body, all in one product. I was like, nobody's doing this. This is amazing. I was totally impressed. So then, of course, I started looking at the rest of the products, and I'm going to walk over here. You guys might want to turn your chair a little bit. So this is Restorex. So this Restorex is great. Actually, I'm not going to make you do that. I'll just walk back over here. So Restorex is great for a lot of reasons. It can pull heavy metals, pesticides out of the body. So for someone who's trying to lose weight, and as you lose weight, obviously you're getting rid of toxins and things from your fat cells. This helps to pull that out of your body. But also, if you have a health challenge or you've had some sort of blood work or hair analysis or whatever it might be, and it's discovered that you've got heavy metals or some sort of toxicity, this is a great way to kind of pull that out of your body. It also pulls lactic acid out of the body. Lactic acid is that thing that makes you sore, that when your muscle fibers start tearing when you're starting to exercise, they actually micro tears, and it's kind of like they're bleeding, but it's not blood. It's lactic acid that comes into your muscles and makes you really sore. And so this pulls lactic acid out of the muscles. So athletes like this. But then again, people who have lost weight and start to get some energy back, maybe at first they weren't exercising, but then they start to get some energy and they want to exercise, and then they overdo it and they're sore. So this is a great tool to utilize for all of those purposes. So this is Restorex, and this is the thing that really got my attention. The next product that really got my attention are the drops that Eliza was talking about, that got her rip-roaring into shape in just a couple of 6 weeks basically after having twins. And it's great because I love seeing that story. But we have some other incredible stories, and we'll turn on the TV and I'll show you a couple pictures in a few minutes. But I'm working with someone right now who was 440 pounds, and she started taking these drops, and I'll explain what they are. And in 6 months she's lost 112 pounds. Now, she was not a candidate for gastric bypass, thank goodness. But when I went to see her, she was sitting on her couch and her stomach was laying down by her feet. She couldn't get up. She's lost 112 pounds, and that's basically a person. And now she can get in her car because she can fit between the steering wheel and the seat. And she has yet to come to one of these gatherings, but her brother actually is in the business because of her. So he comes and he gives the report on her success. And so as of Tuesday, she had lost 112 pounds, and she got all of her blood work done, and her doctor said, I don't care if you're eating shoestrings, keep doing whatever you're doing. Her A1C, which is the diabetes number that they look at, is in the normal ranges now. It hasn't been that in the normal ranges for 20 years. So she is absolutely thrilled. So what are these miracle drops? Well, they're actually not miracle drops. None of this can cure, diagnose, or treat any health condition whatsoever. But again, it helps to kickstart and get your body and give your body what it needs so that it can start working properly. So what are these? These are homeopathic and herbal drops. They're sublingual. They go under the tongue before your 3 largest meals. These are not HCG or any relation to them, other than they go under your tongue and they might come in dark bottles, the HCG. Are you familiar with HCG? Haven't you seen those billboards? Last time I was in California, there were billboards everywhere for HCG weight loss. HCG messes with your hormones. It's like a 500-calorie diet. Your hair can fall out. I have a group of women in Michigan who did that and had all sorts of issues because of it. And so they started taking the drops instead, and they were thrilled because they're used to putting the drops under the tongue, but they weren't used to getting such positive effects. So what are these? So this one, the whole system is not actually called drops, but that's what everyone calls them. It's called Slenderize, so Slenderize with a Z. This one's called Slenderex with an X, and this is your homeopathic remedy. There's 9 different ingredients that literally reset your brain, reset your taste buds, and make it so that you're not craving sugar, and that it targets your belly fat. You're like your discipline in the bottle, and literally within just a couple of days, and I've worked with, there's a guy whose picture you'll see, Mike. He's lost 72 pounds, and when he first started on the program, he was a Mountain Dew drinker. He drank 2 liters of Mountain Dew a day, and he went through 3 pounds of coffee in a month 3 pounds of sugar in his coffee in a month. I mean, he was totally a sugar addict. And if you've ever seen, you're a sugar addict too? Oh, okay. All right, we'll work. Yeah, not that bad. But sugar on your brain versus if you take an MRI of someone who's just had sugar and you take an MRI of someone who's just had cocaine, they light up the exact same areas of the brain. So sugar becomes a physiological addiction, which is why the standard American diet has created this system basically of people who are just stuck and cannot get out of it because their brain is addicted like cocaine to their sugar habit. Now whether that's sodas or candies or breads and pastas or even alcohol, all of that is sugar. And so it's been really miraculous to see this bottle right here. This is your discipline. You get it under your tongue before your 3 largest meals, and how it literally cuts that sugar craving right. You actually aren't hungry. But at the same time, you also have a food list in here. And it's a very just basic, wholesome food list. Nothing crazy. I've never had anyone complain about it whatsoever. The food list, we tell people just, if you are hungry, just stick to the food list. And don't count calories. In our clinical study, we had to count calories, obviously, because it was a study. 1,250 calorie diet. But I just tell people, who wants to count calories? So I just eat when you're hungry, but just eat from this food list. And if you take the drops, it's going to do its magic inside your body, cut your cravings, get your body balanced, help to detoxify, pH balance, moving you all in that right direction. So this is your discipline right here. The other bottle is called Accelerate. And this is wonderful in that it has sublingual B12 in the form of methylcobalamin. It also has a little bit of green tea extract. So both of those, when you take them sublingually, it's absorbed immediately. And so you get this energy lift. So whether you just had babies and you don't have any energy and you're, whatever you're dealing with on that end, or whether you're struggling with weight loss, or whether you're just tired from work, this can give you that lift that you need in a healthier way. It also has 2 aptogenic herbs that are phenomenal. You don't have to remember the names, but you might know them. Ashwagandha and rhodiola. Have you heard of those? Those are herbs that literally work on your stress. So cortisol is your stress hormone. And when your cortisol is high, when you're stressed out, you crave sugar, your body won't release fat, and you can't sleep. Who wants that, right? And so you need that controlled. And so ashwagandha and rhodiola lower your cortisol levels, so that helps you with your sugar cravings, it helps you release body fat, and helps you sleep. And when you sleep well, you can start to lose weight and you're healthier. We all know, people who work like the third shift, they have terrible health because they're not sleeping in the proper circadian rhythms. And so we have to get on that pattern of good sleep. And so we have our sugar cravings taken care of, our body fat releasing, and the sleep pattern with this. So this is phenomenal. The 2 together are amazing, whether you're 440 pounds or whether you're a fitness competitor wanting to get ripped, and everyone in between we've used it with. I pretty much use them with everyone that I work with. The only contraindication is you can't take them when you're pregnant. But other than that, they are a great kickstart. This is a month's supply, and many people only need a month's supply. Obviously, the woman who is 440 pounds, she's been on it for 6 months, and I want to keep her on it for a little while, just to kind of keep that going. This bottle, the Accelerate, is actually sold separately because of the anti-anxiety, anti-depression kind of feeling that it gives you. It makes you feel good. And so people like to take this, even if they're not on this for losing weight. And again, we don't make any claims for anything, but I can tell you that I've had some people that were taking depression medication and they started exercising, doing things to kind of make themselves feel better, and they wanted to wean off of it, and they utilized this along with working with their doctor to do that, and changing their diet and changing a lot of other things to help them with their depression. But this has been an amazing product, and so it's actually sold separately too. So these are the drops. Now I never like to work with the drops without working with our whole food vitamin and minerals. So if you think about, our soil is depleted, right? You guys know that our soil is totally depleted because of all of the things we're spraying on it, as well as improper crop rotation. When you grow a certain crop on a certain piece of land over and over again, you pull the nutrients, the plant pulls the nutrients out of the soil, and so eventually those plants are not going to have nutrients to pull from the soil, and those plants aren't going to have the nutrients that they're supposed to have. So our soils are depleted, especially with commercially grown crops. We cook the life and the nutrients literally out of our food. As I talked before, the pasteurization process, obviously frying being the worst, but every time you start heating up food, you're cooking out nutrients. And so most people eat everything cooked. That's why I encourage people to eat a lot more raw, because you're actually getting nutrients. So you're missing it from the soil, you're missing it from cooking the food. And then, most people don't make this connection. All of your prescription and over-the-counter medications are pulling nutrients from your body. Even that aspirin a day. Now, don't stop taking any medication without consulting your doctor, but we have to be aware of what's happening in our body when we're taking medications. So an aspirin a day depletes 5 different nutrients. Female birth control hormones, there's like 10. Statin drugs, if you've ever seen the commercials on TV for the cholesterol drugs, you have the beautiful couple running through the field or on the sailboat, and they've got you visually, and then there's that voiceover, right? And the voiceover tells you, you might lose an arm, you might vomit 24/7, all the crazy stuff. Pay attention the next time you see a cholesterol drug, a statin commercial, because they're going to say, let your doctor know if you experience muscle pain, muscle weakness, muscle fatigue. Because those companies know that those drugs deplete CoQ10, coenzyme Q, have you heard of that, from your body. And that is necessary for cellular respiration. For every chemical reaction that happens in your body, it needs CoQ10 or coenzyme Q. It's the same thing. Muscle contraction. It's absolutely required for muscle contraction. So if it starts to get depleted, and it could take a month on a statin drug, it could take a year, it could take 10 years, but everyone's kind of different in what their supply is in their body. And so as that's depleted, one of the first signs and symptoms is I'm just tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. I woke up this terrible back pain, and I didn't do anything yesterday. I don't know what it is, but I can't even stand up straight. Something muscular fatigue, weakness related. And so what happens? People go to their doctors. I've got this terrible backache. I don't know what it is. And what do? Prescribe a muscle relaxant or something along those lines. And so again, you're on another drug, and they're not taking care of the first issue. So years ago when I was teaching this, medical doctors were not telling their patients go to the health food store and get a CoQ10 or a coenzyme Q. Today I'm seeing it a little bit more, but that's not the only medication that depletes CoQ10. Depression medication, diabetes medication, every medication of some sort depletes some sort of nutrient. So I actually have a report called the Vitamin Robbers Report that you guys are free to share with everyone. And it's like 15, I picked like the most common, like top 15 categories of drugs. So the book is like this thick, so I couldn't put them all in there. But from aspirin to Rolaids to depression to high blood pressure to cholesterol medication to different heart medications are listed on there, and it tells what nutrients are being depleted. And then it lists the side effects from those nutrient depletions. So you could be taking a medication for a couple months, a year, or a decade, and then start developing these crazy signs and symptoms and go to your doctor, and they prescribe some other medication that has nothing to do with anything, not realizing, again, just like the CoQ10, see that never-ending spiral that people can get themselves into. So again, don't stop taking any medications without consulting your doctor, but you need to replenish those nutrients. The best way to replenish those nutrients, obviously, is to start transitioning your diet to real food, to nutrients that are going to heal. But in addition, taking a good whole food supplement. So we have the synthetic supplements like One A Day, Centrum, Flintstones. My mom used to give me Flintstones growing up. I don't know if any of you experienced that, but all the different colors, those are all the different toxic dyes, right? Flintstones actually has hydrogenated oils, trans fats in them, and we're giving them to our kids every day. So those are synthetic. Those are not food-based. The vitamin D is synthetic. The vitamin E is synthetic. They're all synthetic. But also, it's like I picture a little guy in a lab coat. I don't know why I picture like a guy, but a little guy in a lab coat, like making like this Centrum or the One A Day or the Flintstones, saying, we're going to make this concoction with this and this and this. But the problem is nature doesn't work like that. Our plants have all of these phytochemicals, these phytonutrients that have even yet to be discovered. We have tens of thousands that we know about, but all these other things that work synergistically with the vitamin C, with the iron, with the different nutrients to make them work in your body. Because food is supposed to supply us with that. So when it's synthetic, your body doesn't recognize it. You're not getting all the other things that work with it. And actually, to your body, your white blood cell count goes up because those are like the guard cells in your body saying, wait a minute, what's this toxin in our body? And so those are synthetic versus whole food, which if you read here, you can read broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cucumber, kale, all these foods that a lot of people don't eat a whole lot of. But if you get them, initially at least, in a whole food supplement, at least you're giving your body those nutrients to make up for what some of those medications might be taking from you, right? So we can at least start at an even pace, an even keel. I like these because they're not at, like Erica was saying, we don't fairy dust. We don't put things, even at the RDA, which is a recommended daily allowance, which is the minuscule amount that your body requires to prevent like scurvy or some of those other diseases. But it's really the minuscule amount that your body needs just to kind of stay alive. But we don't want to just be alive, we want to thrive. And with all these other issues of our soil being depleted, our food being depleted, and these medications depleting our body of nutrients, we need more than the RDA. Wouldn't you agree? So these are at the optimal level. That's why they're called optimals. The optimal level based on scientific research that shows a positive effect on whatever study they were doing on someone's health. And so all of the levels of nutrients are at the optimal levels. And that's why we get such great success with so many people, because they're finally getting nutrified, for lack of a better way to explain it, as they're transitioning their diet. And so I like to combine these with the drops because you get much faster results. Even actually along with the Restorix and some of the other products, you get faster results. But at the minimal, I tell everyone, at the very basic, if you take nothing, you need to take a good whole food supplement. I also like these because they're NSF certified. Our products are also BSCG certified, Banned Substance Control Group, which means Olympic athletes and professional athletes that get drug tested don't have to worry. There's not going to be any red flags on their blood test or drug test or urine test or any of those tests when they utilize our products. Unlike many other products, as it's been discovered with many of these athletes, they were taking something they had no idea it was going to set off a red flag. And so we're BSCG certified, which is a really hard certification to get, and we passed that test, which is great. I also like these because they do things like this. This company makes all these little tweaks in their products, unlike other companies, because there's lots of other whole food supplements out there, but there's an ingredient that we don't use because it's pretty controversial. It's called magnesium stearate. It's a manufacturing chemical that's meant to. It's called a flow agent. It's meant to help the pills flow through the machine in the manufacturing process, but it's a manufacturing chemical. So I don't know about you, I don't want that in my something I'm going to take every day because that's going to increase my toxic load. So instead of using that, because it's very controversial in terms of, oh, is it good or is it not good, we just said, you know what, we're just not using it. So we use rice bran. So rice bran is a great flow agent. It conquers that problem. But it's also really good because it helps to lower cholesterol, and it's full of vitamin B cofactors, which are good for you. So we kind of nip that in the bud right away by just using something that's food-based. And I love that this company does that. We do this over and over again with our products, as you'll see. So I want to talk about next protein shakes, because aside from what multivitamin should I use, the next question always is, well, is this a good protein shake? Is this a good one? What do you use? You know, they bring these big tubs, these bodybuilding protein, you know, that you can buy at the store with these big scoops, and you know, they're huge, like $20 for 5 months supply. And so they want me to look at the ingredients and tell them if it's good or not. And so I wrote this report called the Shakedown Report. And the Shakedown Report is 6 ingredients that to me are deal breakers, that if I'm working with someone with a health challenge, the last thing again that I want to do is increase their toxic load. So there's these 6 ingredients, and obviously artificial colors and flavors are something I don't want. And I think you can probably pick those apart in a label. But these are 6 ingredients that have confused a lot of people. But I think once you read the report, because the report basically gives the 6 ingredients with a couple paragraphs as to why I think those are deal breakers. And then there's a comparison chart at the end, which is really eye-opening. When I looked at this line, when I first looked at the company, I was totally impressed because the 6 deal breaker ingredients are maltodextrin, sucralose, which is an artificial sweetener, fructose, like high fructose corn syrup, like yes, they're putting that in, kind of weight loss health shakes, fructose. Soy, which is not a health product, whey, and casein. So to me, those are the 6 deal breaker ingredients. In addition, this shake called Pure Nourish is GMO-free, which is a big buzzword these days. It's gluten-free, and it's lactose-free. So for me, when I'm dealing with anyone with a health challenge, I kind of don't have to worry, because it doesn't matter. I have celiac disease. Well, don't worry, we don't have gluten. I'm lactose intolerant. It's okay, there's no lactose in here. This is pea and cranberry based, very clean. Again, lessening your toxic load. It's plant-based, moving your body more in the alkaline direction, and so there's nothing to worry about. And I love that this company, it's interesting. The food industry is really getting called out today for ingredients, right? Panera Bread is removing 150 ingredients. I think by the end of the year. When you go in there now on their doors, there's a sign, at least in in Michigan, on their doors that says we have clean soups, because they've removed all of their garbage from their soups because consumers are demanding it. And so the food industry is really seeing that. You guys know the Food Babe. She's really kind of created the Food Babe army, getting people to call out these companies. Kellogg's is changing their Cheerios formula. They're going non-GMO in the United States. Where they are everywhere else in the world, they're non-GMO except for here. And so things are happening because consumers are standing up. I really see the next phase is that consumers are going to start looking at health companies, so-called health companies, because if a shake is one of the easiest things to formulate when you're designing a line of products. Shake is easy. If they can't get the shake right, then guess what? They probably don't have the rest of it right. So that's the first thing that I look at when I'm looking at a company. And so when I looked at Restorix first, but then I wanted to see their shake. I wanted to see what they're doing. I love that they've got all the things covered that I would be looking for. So this is the plain, and it's just that it's plain. This is, you do 2 scoops of this and some water or some almond milk or anything that you want. You can mix it up. You can add the leafy greens. You can add blueberries, any of that type of stuff that you want. But then there's 2 flavors, and the flavors actually have a lot of nutrients in them as well. So this is called the Power Boost, and this is cocoa flavor. It's chocolate flavor. And so you do 2 scoops of the plain, of the natural flavor, with 1 scoop of the cocoa. This is your branched chain amino acids, which are your muscle building, muscle preserving amino acids. So whether you're an athlete that wants to use them, or whether you're starting to work out, those amino acids help to build muscle, but they also help to preserve muscle. So if someone like, my woman Susan that I'm working with, who can't work out, but she doesn't want to lose muscle mass, any muscle that she has, she wants to keep it, and so having branched chain amino acids in the system can aid with that. But it also tastes really good too. Then this other one is called the Beauty Boost, and it's mandarin orange flavor, and these are phytochemicals, phytonutrients that are great for hair, skin, and nails. And we have a lot of different clinical studies. There's a clinical study on this because the phytonutrients that are used literally, when your skin starts to age, or if you have a high sugar diet, there's an enzyme in your skin that's called elastase. And as I talk about it being like a little Pac-Man that starts eating up the skin and tearing down the skin. And these plant nutrients found in this, that's why I encourage you to eat more raw plants, because it'll do the same thing. But this is a very concentrated source of phytonutrients that literally stop that Pac-Man from taking action. So that was a really cool study. I don't know if you've seen that one on that. So you do 2 scoops of the plain with 1 scoop of the mandarin orange, and this can be a meal replacement. It can be a snack. My husband uses it as his late night like ice cream kind of treat, where instead of ice cream, he mixes all 3 together, because he said it tastes like some orange chocolate thing he used to have when he was young, and that's like his little snack. So it's great for kids. I know you give it to your daughter. Actually, both of you do. Yeah, and so it's just a very clean protein shake if that's something that you're into. Take a look at the one that you might have at home and see if any of those ingredients that I mentioned are in it, and you might want to reconsider. So I love that.
So my daughter drinks instead of formula, she drinks it standard.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, formula. Yeah, if you knew what was in that. Yeah.
No, ever since I became obsessed with what I give my daughter, like formulas and foods, it's like, why don't I think about myself and what I feed in protein shakes and everything?
Yeah.
And it's become so much more apparent to me now, you know?
And you can do fresh juices with her too, green juices and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I can't not talk about this product, because I was telling them last night, this is the reason I married my husband. My husband used to be a coffee drinker, and I can't stand the smell of coffee. I just don't like it. So I'm just one of those people. I can't go to Starbucks. I just don't like the smell of it. And I've never tasted it, and I don't want to. And so the idea of being married to someone who brews a cup of coffee, I know I'm like killing all of you guys, because I know you probably all like coffee. But that's just me. So I just don't like the smell of it. And so my husband used to drink 2 pots of coffee a day, and then running all throughout town, used to stop at, we have these places called Big B, I don't know if you've heard of that, in Michigan, and he used to stop, he's used to spend a lot of money outside of the house on coffee, as well as have it all day long, and it's very acidic, very burning out on your adrenals, and it's just not healthy to drink that much coffee. And so this is a great product because it was specifically designed to target sodas, coffee, Red Bull, energy drinks, that type of thing, to get people kind of transitioned off of those and still give you that lift that you need, but a healthy lift and actually a nice calm focus. So this is a bunch of superfoods as well as a little raw green coffee bean extract. So it has caffeine in it, so it's a great transition product so you don't get that crazy headache. But it's a cleaner version, and it gives you that lift, but it has an amino acid called L-theanine, which gives you a nice calm focus. So I don't do caffeine, but sometimes I need a lift every now and then. So when I met my husband, I was moving from North Carolina to Michigan, and the movers were coming. I took like 4 of these in the morning, and I was like the Energizer Bunny, getting everything going. So it's one of those things that if you're not used to taking it and you take it, you like, and it's not like a shot of espresso from what I hear. I've never done it, but where you get that craziness. It's a lift, but then it's a nice calm focus. You get stuff done. You need to clean the basement, clean the attic, do your taxes, get your papers in order, or whatever. You take this, and I think it's a great alternative for. I hit a couple chords there, didn't I? It's a great alternative for college students too. Instead of taking, I remember I was in school taking no-dos and drinking coffee and sodas and all this stuff with unhealthy caffeine. This is a great alternative for that because it gives you that focus too, because of that amino acid. It's a very popular product. I know in our town, my husband's so addicted to it, like he'll get a couple bottles and he hides them, not for me, but people come to our house, and so he doesn't want them finding them, because people come over like, hey, do you have any Rejuvenex I can buy from you? Nope, don't have any. Like, you can't find it in our town. You have to order it from the company because nobody will give theirs away, even if they have an extra bottle. It's that popular of a product. I don't get it, but it's just one of those things. Another one, okay, this is one that I do get and I love. It's called Vinali. It's our anti-inflammatory. So Last week on social media, on Facebook, I think I even shared it on my page, there was a story about Tylenol and how toxic it is to your liver. And when I lived in North Carolina, I knew a woman who took Tylenol PM for 3 weeks because she had some back issue or something and she wasn't able to sleep in her bed, and she died from liver failure because it can kill you. So just because you can buy it at Walgreens or your local drugstore doesn't mean it's not harmful. And so I love this because it's an anti-inflammatory. It's a great alternative to some of the NSAIDs, or it's a great way, maybe you could half the doses of those and substitute the other half with this and kind of wean yourself to that. So all this is grapeseed extract and vitamin C, and they're very powerful anti-inflammatories, very powerful antioxidants. So whether you've sprained your ankle and it's swollen up, that's inflammation. You take like 6 of these. If you have a systemic inflammatory condition, which is pretty much all of today's diseases, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, gout, arthritis, all of that has inflammation in its nature. So it's a great way to kind of dampen that. Or allergies or asthma. It's awesome with that too. So any kind of inflammatory anything going on in your body, it's just a great alternative for that. Even like, we have a horse ranch, and so when people come over, we have some people that like to ride horses. Their kids like to ride horses, but they have allergies. And so their moms load them up on this before they come over, and they don't have any issues. So it's just a great anti-inflammatory. In China, we're in like 14, I can't even count anymore, 15 countries. In China, they call this the beauty pill because those ingredients are great for your skin. And so I guess they're more focused on their skin than they are the inflammation factor internally, but it's known as the beauty pill. So if you're looking from a beauty aspect, we have a lot of beauty-oriented products, from the Beauty Boost protein shake, as well as the whole food supplements are beauty-oriented, if you want to call them that, as well as the Vinali and our skincare line as well, which I'll mention. Magna-Cal D is another one that I wanted to mention. And I just saw on CNN the other day, Sanjay Gupta was doing a story on pain medications. And we represent, I think he said, 5% of the entire population of the world, yet we use 90% of the painkillers that are sold in the world. Can you believe that? That's crazy. So that's just a great non-toxic way to kind of ease yourself off of it. Magna-Cal D, magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K, along with shiitake and maitake mushrooms. It's an amazing formula that we actually spent 18 months putting together because we wanted to look at all the studies that had come out about calcium and how calcium pills were depositing in people's arteries, which is not a good thing, as opposed to their bones. And so the long and short of it is you need a couple things going on. You need your calcium and magnesium to be a 1-to-1 ratio, and if you look on here, you'll see 400 milligrams of calcium to 400 milligrams of magnesium, and the proper types as well. You need vitamin K2, not K1. A lot of supplements that are bone-oriented use K1. K2 is actually the one that you want to use. It's like the traffic cop that shuttles the calcium away from the arteries and into the bones. And then non-synthetic vitamin D as well. Milk is fortified with synthetic vitamin D. Whenever someone gets prescribed vitamin D, it's the synthetic version. This is not. And then, of course, the maitake and shiitake mushrooms for immune support. So this is a great product. Actually, a lot of people use it with sleep as well because of magnesium, but I just did a presentation, actually kind of like last night, at a Pilates studio, and the owner had been using Magna-Cal D for three months. She was a former ballerina and had terrible knee issues, and she's like our age, but she still does a lot of modern dance and things. But she knows now that when she performs, the next day she will be in bed, taking Tylenol, which I kind of weaned her off of that too. But she did a performance that was like a two-hour performance, and the next day she got up, she didn't think about it, she started walking around, and she was like, wait a minute, my knees don't even hurt. So we've had a lot of amazing feedback from the healing effects. Again, you give your body the right tools, it knows how to use it, and it knows how to balance the body. So Magna-Cal D is an awesome product to take a look at. Let's see what we have left. We have a fish oil called Omega Q, which, unlike many of the other fish oils out there, is again we do everything just a little bit differently. It's very clean in terms of the type, not only the types of fish that are used, but the processing. We don't use chemical solvents like hexane, which is a total carcinogen, and various other things. You don't want those in your fish oil when you're taking them. And also that Rejuvenex, that energy one that I talked about, it's actually stamped in red with the name of the product on the capsule. But we don't use red dye number 40 like most companies would use. We use beet juice because you're going to, like my husband, if you're going to be taking it every day, you don't want to increase your toxic load. So I love all these little tweaks that this company makes because they're really paying attention to our health. So MOA is another really awesome product. It's called the mother of all. It's our liquid nutrition, basically. It's all these different superfoods found all over the world that you would never find in you wouldn't even find in, Jimbo's, because they're found from all over the world. And it's not high heat pasteurized. And some of the preservatives are actually essential oils. Once you open it, it's only good for 2 weeks in your refrigerator, and you only do a shot like you open the cap and you do a shot. It's not like most people think juice, they think like a fruit juice. And so if you expect that when you first taste it, you're going to be like, what? What's this? It has a peppery kick to it. And the first time I tasted it, I was unsure. And then I did another shot. I'm like, you know what? This is really good. And now this is one of those things that once we open the bottle, it's a race to the bottom between my husband and I, because I discovered, because like we opened it one day and the next day there's like halfway, I'm like, what is he doing? And so now we don't just do a shot because we know we won't get any in the end of it. And so it's just, it's crazy. I need my own refrigerator because this is what happens in my house. But it's just really good. You guys utilize that, right? It's really good. You can also make, we did a 12-hour training in Michigan in February, and we wanted everyone to stay the whole time. And only one person ended up leaving because she was a nurse and she had the night shift. And we had all these different snacks that we gave like every couple of hours to keep people's energy up. And one of the things that we made is it's called the MOA Punch, Rejuvenex Punch. It's MOA, a bunch of these opened up and put into the water with the MOA, apple cider vinegar, and then the orange beauty boost. It tastes amazing, but let me tell you, it gives you, remember that lift I was talking about that this gives you? It's absolutely amazing. So there's a lot of fun things you can make. We actually have a chef, Nelda, that does a lot of recipes with a lot of our products, like makes a lot of desserts with our protein shakes, and so we have what's called the RX Kitchen on Facebook that can give you a lot of those recipes. So, I just want to highlight just really quickly, we have a body care products division. So we have our weight loss division, which is our drops and the shakes. We have our nutrition division, which is all the nutritional products that I talked about. We have our body products division, which is shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and toothpaste. One thing that I want to make sure you guys all get tonight, in our body products and our skincare line, those were developed because everything that you put on your skin gets absorbed, and there's so many toxic products out there. I know growing up, my mom still uses it to this day, Jergens lotion. Do you guys remember Jergens lotion? Well, we made a list called the Never Ever list of ingredients we will never put in our products. And one of the categories is preservatives. Parabens is one of the ingredients that we will never ever use. Jergens lotion has like 6 parabens, methylparaben, butylparaben. These are known carcinogenic, known problems, whether it's to your liver or to your reproductive organs. And so you can take one and pass it around. So when you go home tonight, maybe pull out some of your products and just look and see if you see any of these ingredients. One that kind of made the news a couple weeks ago is talc. When Johnson & Johnson got sued recently and they lost $72 million because this talcum powder, their baby powder. Yeah. Cornstarch is what you should use instead of talc. So talcum powder contributed to cervical cancer, and so the woman passed away. The family sued, and there was enough evidence to back it, and Johnson & Johnson lost. So now the FDA is recalling those powdered gloves. For surgical gloves, they're revamping those now too. So take a look at that list. So our body products don't have any of those ingredients in it. Even the toothpaste doesn't have fluoride, and if you're afraid of that, I haven't used fluoridated toothpaste in probably 25 years, and I have all of my teeth, and they're all in good shape. So don't think that you need fluoride. If you've ever looked at the back of just like a Crest or a Colgate or any of that, look at the warning label on the back. It actually says if you swallow too much, contact Poison Control Center, because they know how toxic fluoride is. You're safe with all of these products, and that's what I love about it. So as far as when this health and nutrition industry is going to get looked at, like I described before, we're not going to get called out on ingredients. And if we develop a product and we find that there's another ingredient that we should be using that we discover is better, this company has no problem changing things. We've changed a couple formulas here and there, and I love that. They're not like something that's like, oh no, it's going to cost too much to change all of this. Deanna Latson, if you guys ever get the chance to meet her, is a pit bull, and she fights for the things that we need to have in our products or not have in our products, and that's what I love, because the person at the helm has that kind of philosophy, and that's exactly how I would be if I was in her position. We also have a line of essential oils, and I just want to highlight just real quick about them. So essential oils are becoming very, very popular today, as they should, because they're very powerful. We developed a line of blends, not individual oils. So it's not a bottle of lavender or a bottle of peppermint. These are blends based on the hierarchy of traditional Chinese medicine. They're very powerful. We have a little booklet that describes all the different uses of them. And you would be surprised. The one that shocked me when I first looked at it was shingles pain. Like, you wouldn't think you could have an essential oil that could help with shingles pain, right? The one that I like, that I'll point out to you, is called Escape, but it has frankincense. You have frankincense? Frankincense has been around forever, since the time of Jesus, right? And it was really a true gift to us, because frankincense, if you go on pubmed.com or .org, it's the medical journal website where you can look up different topics, and you put in the search box frankincense, you'll get a ton of studies on frankincense and how it's called apoptosis, literally blows up cancer cells. And so I like this because I put some in a thing of coconut oil, and when I get out of the shower, I slather it on myself, and I know my skin's absorbing that frankincense and all these other great ingredients that are in here. As well as when you inhale something, and most people think essential oils are, it's just a room freshener. Well, yeah, it can freshen your room, but unlike the Glade plugins and the sprays that you find on the back of toilets whenever you go somewhere, those are totally toxic. Again, you're increasing your toxic load. So this is a way to decrease your toxic load by doing something that's actually going to help you, whether you realize it or not. Because whether you put it on your skin or whether you inhale those molecules, it gets into your bloodstream within 30 seconds of inhaling something or putting it on your skin. The nicotine patch, the birth control patch, we all know things you put on your skin can get in your skin. Same with inhaling something. So whenever I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, if I have to walk by or down that pesticide aisle, I hold my nose, because I know in 30 seconds that stuff's going to be in my blood. And if you're already immune compromised, that's going to set you back some more. And so we have to do all the things that we know we can do when we have the choice. And so essential oils are a great way to do that. So definitely take a look at those, and that's another brand that we have. 2 more brands, just real quick. We have water and air purification. So we have a water bottle that literally filters out everything. I know when my husband was first introduced to this, the person who introduced this to him dipped it in the toilet. Actually, the filter's not in here, but dipped it in the toilet and started drinking from it. And so my husband kept eye contact with him and went up to him and grabbed it from his hand and put it in his mouth and started sipping. And the guy didn't blink, and so he knew that he was actually drinking from it. That's how powerful this is. A bunch of Navy SEALs took it to Afghanistan. We send these to, Hershey sends them to Hershey Siegel sends them to Africa, to orphanages. This is a really, really powerful filter. And then we also have an air purifier, which we don't have in here, but it's about yay tall. And it's the latest technology from MIT. From grads from MIT with air purification. We actually have a comparison chart that compares against some of the other top brands. It's 11 stages of filtration. We have some amazing stories with some women who have children who have terrible allergies, and they put that in their bedroom at night, and the kids don't wake up coughing in the morning. And so it really pulls pretty much everything, viruses, all kinds of stuff out of your house. I live on a ranch, and my husband's like a cowboy kind of guy, and so he runs a wood fireplace all the time, and I can't stand that smoke because I know how toxic that is. And so we have one right in our living room in the corner, and it pulls that smoke out, and you can't even tell. So it's really, really powerful. You guys can take a look at that. We have a brochure up there you can look at. So those are basically the 6 different lines that the company offers, and the whole kind of theme is anti-aging, whole health, whole body health. No compromise with ingredients across the board. We have a lot of new things in the pipeline, and actually I didn't do this last night either. Our skincare line, I can't go without mentioning the skincare line. This is our latest and our newest line. It's called Jove. And I love this. Your Never Ever list will come in handy here, because many of the ingredients on that list are in a lot of our competitors, and we have a comparison chart that we can give you access to if you want to see it. Very popular products, things that we kind of grew up with. Estee Lauder, even La Mer, very expensive but very toxic. And so when you look at that comparison chart of a lot of these popular products, you'll see what these companies are putting in their products compared to the choices that we made. So we have 2 products. We started with 2 products because we wanted to address 2 things that most women and men, but mostly women, are spending a lot of money on toxic procedures and a lot of money. And that's wrinkles, like Botox. We wanted to compete with that. And dark spots or age spots or melasma or any kind of discoloration in the skin. And so when we kind of looked at everything that was out there in terms of the wrinkles, this one's called the Instant Tightening and Restoring Serum. And can we turn the TV on so I can show a picture? Okay. Actually, I have a couple pictures. So the Instant Tightening and Restoring Serum, and there's lots of companies out there that have instant products. Have you ever seen on probably social media these before and afters where there's wrinkles in one picture and then absolutely no wrinkles on the other picture? Those are some of the instant products. And so there's other companies that are making them, but the difference is this. The thing that gives you the instant effect, have you ever done a mud mask? Like a green clay mud mask? So it's a silicate that comes from clay. And so in this product and in many of the competitors, the active ingredient to do that instant effect is that clay, is that silicate. And so we all kind of have that in common. But these companies use a preservative called phenoxyethanol. It's on your list. And phenoxyethanol, if you look at the material safety data sheet of phenoxyethanol, it is horrendous. First of all, it says it's an irritant to the skin, yet they're putting it in these products. It also talks about how it's toxic to the liver, toxic to the reproductive organs. You don't want to put that on your skin or use it in any kind of product, but it's a synthetic preservative. Instead, we use fermented radish root. So we use a food-based preservative. Our facilities are also so clean, so to speak, because we have all of these certifications. It's an FDA-approved over-the-counter facility, and so we don't have to use a lot of the preservatives that many of the other companies use, and so we can get away with using what we're using. And of course, we would never use phenoxyethanol anyway. But fermented radish root, isn't that awesome? The other thing that a lot of these competitors use is the dyes. They use red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5. We're using curcumin, turmeric, food-based. That gives a color too. And so we make all these little swaps. And so in this instant product, you're getting that instant effect, but you're also going to get some long-term effects because we put some other ingredients in there to plump up the skin and some amino acids that literally... Okay, let's talk about Botox for a minute. So Botox, the botulism toxin, which is totally a toxin. I actually know, I was telling this story last night, a couple, when I first lived in Florida, that was when Botox was first starting to kind of make it into the popularity. And they had Botox parties back then, like I guess they still do now. But this doctor friend of mine and his wife went to a Botox party. And the doctor that was having the party pulled out his Botox vial, stuck the needle in, but he didn't dilute it. So when he injected both of them, almost instantly, they went into respiratory failure. And they ended up having to be on basically life support for, I think he was 9 months and she was 12, almost a year, until it wore off, because, it does wear off eventually, but if it doesn't kill you first. So it can be very dangerous. So the way that works is you have the nerve and the muscle, the neuromuscular junction, and it's injected and it paralyzes the muscle in a toxic way. So in our product, we have these amino acids that lay on the surface of the skin and they relax the muscle. And so when you relax a muscle, the wrinkle relaxes. And if you do that 30, 60, 90, 120 days, which our clinical study just came out today, actually, over time you're going to see a long-term effect, which we did see with our clinical study. And I'm going to show you a picture of someone who did it for 30 days, and you'll see the difference. So you get that instant gratification with this, but then you get that long-term effect too. Some women, because they think more is better, like to slather it on at night and have it do its magic. Instead of using it during the day, they just put a whole lot on. So, but interestingly, a friend of ours took a bunch to a Botox party. She works at a plastic surgeon's office, and she took a bunch to a Botox party. And I always thought this would appeal to people who didn't want to do Botox. And it does. But it's interesting that people who do Botox actually like it too, because I don't know if it's more is better or in between sessions or whatever it is, she completely sold out. So it's been a really, really popular product, I think, because of not only the instant effect it gets, but the long term, but also the fact that we're not using these toxic ingredients. And so it's a great alternative to many of the other products that are out there. So I just want to show you real quick a couple of pictures if I can pull them up. Can you see that? So this is my husband's eye. So this is before, and this is 90 seconds later. So see how the instant effect, it really works. Now, I like the rugged look on him, and if you saw his whole face, you'd agree with me. But I get that we needed to show this. And so when we first got our sample, he went in the bathroom and put this on and he took a little selfie and showed me. He's like, "This stuff's amazing." I'm like, "You're not even supposed to know about this stuff. Get out of my supply." And then, okay, here's a great before and after of a forehead. Isn't that great?
Dr. Ginger, can you speak to how it differs from Miriam?
Yeah, and I wish I had that chart in front of me. The ingredients, big time. They're using some of the synthetic stuff. Can you get our access to that chart?
Yeah,
okay.
I have.
And I can email it to you too. I just don't have it up here right now. And we don't want to bash another company. It comes down to ingredients. Like these are ingredients that were on our list that we will not put in our products, and you can just make an educated guess educated opinion based on kind of what you're learning and what you're discovering with ingredients. I mean, Estee Lauder, like all these popular things that I used growing up. I'm shocked now to see some of the stuff they're putting in and what effects it has on our body, because everything we put in our skin gets absorbed. So this is Allison, and this is 30 days apart. And neither one of these pictures is she wearing the instant tightening. So this is before she started using it, and this is 30 days after she started using it, but she doesn't have it on. To show you that the long-term thing that I was talking about, how you can see the difference in some of the fine lines and wrinkles, right? And so that's what we're discovering in our clinical study is happening long term because you're relaxing that muscle, and so that's happening. And then we have our other product. So there's the instant tightening and restoring serum. And then we have the dark spot corrector and brightening cream. So the major ingredient that most companies use in their brighteners, lighteners, whatever you want to call that, is hydroquinone. Hydroquinone is very toxic to the skin. And even in small amounts, I don't care, it's toxic to your body and it's caustic to your skin. We use vitamin C, but not just any old vitamin C, because vitamin C is very unstable. And so we use an oil-soluble vitamin C so it doesn't oxidize. And so we have here, you can see how her age spots started to disappear. So this is great for just whether it's redness, whether it's dark spots, whether it's blemishes, anything along those lines, kind of lightening and brightening the skin. But we have amazing other ingredients in there that literally nourish and plump up the skin, and it's not an oily feel. So like I use coconut oil, like I said, all over my body after the shower, but I don't want to put that in my face. And so this is a great product to use. You guys have been using it, right? Women are loving this. They're loving both of them, but this is like something that like I'm not going without this. Like where's my tube? Like they're going crazy over it because it's so moisturizing. But then I remember the first time when I first started using it, when they first sent me the sample, I didn't tell my husband I was using it. After 10 days, he's like, "What are you doing? Did you do like facial? He actually noticed, and he never notices stuff like that. So we're getting feedback like that people are noticing when they use this. So that's just one example on the hand. So these are the first two products. We have a couple of others in the pipeline that are going to be coming, but we just launched this in November, and they could not keep it on the shelves. It's just been going crazy. And I think the bottom line is, again, education. Our company likes to educate and likes to kind of open people's eyes to what's going on in front of them and give them ingredients and let you guys look yourself and see what you think, because it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know, but once you know, you kind of can't go back. And so I love this company because, again, they're lessening your toxic load, they're teaching about education, and they're on the cutting edge of things. That whole NSF, that thing that Erica was talking about before of us raising the bar, the NSF has changed their standards, their gold star standards, because our company went to them and said, what's the traditional thing that's happening of picking two random ingredients and saying, okay, those random ingredients are in your product, so you get the gold star. That's not good enough. We want to know every ingredient is in our product and at the right proportions, and not, they were finding, what were they finding on those, the Walgreens and different places that they pulled products from to randomly test? I think it was New York State, the Attorney General. They did a big investigation. This was all over the news about, 6 or 8 months ago, but I think it's come back. They may have done some more. And every single product that they tested had some issue. It had gluten when it said it was gluten-free, or vice versa. And so it can cause you issues if they just randomly, if the gold star process is, okay, we're just going to randomly select two of them, and if you got them two, then you're good. But what if they just pick two that happen to be in there? What if there's all this other garbage in there that can cause harm? And so the NSF has changed their standards because we went to them and said, we want everything tested. And so that from 2017 on, that's going to be the gold standard. So I like that they do all this kind of stuff. And I think that as a consumer, you would probably appreciate that too. So it's an incredible company. If any of you all are interested in any of the products that we talked about, you can talk to whoever invited you, or you can talk to any of us. We'd be glad to answer any specific questions that you might have. There is also a business side to all of this too, so you can learn how to get your products for free or get a deep discount on them, so you can talk to us about that as well. Yes? Everything is made in the United States. We do have some ingredients that we do pull from other countries, but everything is third-party tested, and everything that comes with a certificate of authenticity, everything's tested to make sure what it says on that certificate is actually in a certificate.
It's all FDA.
We have an FDA-approved facility. It's OTC over the counter. Like it's as if we were a pharmaceutical company, except we're not. Sure. It's those standards. That is, yeah. So everything's made here. Yes.
I have a question for you. What are some healthy foods that are actually acidic that people are eating that think they're healthy but they're actually acidic? Well,
more than anything, it's nuts. Nuts and seeds can be more acidic than not, but they're not anything to worry about if you're eating the other alkaline foods. Let's talk about the acidic foods. So soda is about a 2 on that scale from 1 to 14, 7 being neutral. Soda is about a 2. Coffee is about a 4. French fries, all the processed packaged foods, all of those things are in the acidic realm. Dairy products are in the acidic realm. Pretty much all the stuff in the standard American diet that I grew up with, all of that is in the acidic realm. The other healthy foods, if you start frying, any kind of produce, if you start manipulating any of that, it becomes acidic. And obviously if it's sprayed with chemicals or pesticides, it's acidic, not alkaline anymore.
And broccoli, if you cook it, it becomes acidic.
Well, the more you cook something, probably more that you take it back the other direction. But I wouldn't worry about steaming or cooking your broccoli. I wouldn't freak out about that. I'd worry more about some of the other garbage that people are consuming. So again, the balance. You don't have to be 100% alkaline, but just eat a lot more than that than you ever have, and then you'll balance and you'll be good. Yes?
Two questions. One, as far as nightshade vegetables, where people try to say those actually cause inflammation, and recommend you eat it, eggplant, tomatoes, peppers,
if you have certain arthritis and various things, then as you're kind of getting that under control, like places like Hippocrates, they don't recommend nightshades. But someone else who's healthy, I eat peppers. I don't have an issue with that.
And the other question is regarding the Restorix.
Okay.
The one with the activated charcoal.
Yeah.
So they usually say don't take that around medications. So
Yeah.
Because it'll
Yep.
limit your
You take that
absorbability.
2 hours apart from you're taking your medication.
But that doesn't affect the vitamins and minerals that you're carrying with it.
Here's the recommended way to take it is at the end of the day before you go to bed. Take it with some water. You put it in water and shoot it kind of on an empty stomach and take it before you go to bed. Instead of, and other people do it other ways, but I think that's probably the best way to do it. That way it can kind of do its magic while you're sleeping, and it doesn't have necessarily anything interfering with it. Or if you took your vitamins, it's not going to be interacting with that. So that's really the best way to take it. Some people throw it in their shakes and do other things with it because it has activated charcoal in it. So it's not the tastiest thing to get down, but you just mix it with water and do a shot, and you're good. Any other questions? Yeah.
I have a question. So one thing, because I'm like a meathead mentality, or I used to be all about fitness and working out, and I always took whey protein because it was the most immediate form of, absorbable protein right after I worked out. And then I noticed that I was just never really into plant-based protein, but then when I was on the 3X clinical pack, and I started taking the Pure Nourish, it would make me full so much longer. And so then I started researching that, and I was like, it's more of a stable protein, I feel, that keeps me sustained for a long time where I'm not hungry like an hour
Right.
later.
And the other issue with whey is if it's not, from an organic cow, non-GMO cow, you're taking all that garbage that cow is injected with. And whey is also very toxic to the liver in terms of acidic to the liver. It's just not a healthy choice in my opinion. I'm sure.
No, I would never go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And casein makes up about 87% of milk, the protein in milk. And there's a direct link, if you ever read the China study or heard about the China study by T. Colin Campbell, direct link between casein and cancer. And so that's not a good one to have in your protein shake either. So whether you believe any or not, there's controversy there. There's no controversy around pea and cranberry protein. So it's just a much safer way to go. And of course, someone with any kind of heart issues, cardiovascular issues, you don't want to give them dairy because that's gonna add to that. So it's just, I like it because no matter who I'm working with, whether it's someone in fitness or someone with a health challenge, there's no contraindications. There's nobody, I can't have this one. I got to read their labels. You don't have to read the labels on that because it's clean. There's no red flag ingredients. So, any other questions? Well, thank you all so much. Did you learn a little something? Okay, good. Are you going to take it home and apply it to yourself or apply it to someone you know and love? Or make someone start doing something that they should be doing? Maybe yourself? Okay, good. Well, thank you. Feel free to mingle and talk, and anyone who wants to order any products, we can take care of that tonight or talk to you about anything else that you're interested in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting. In your beautiful home, right? Wasn't this a great place?